So you are part of a new initiative, a new change, and you are explaining that to someone. Suddenly you are surprised that they are not as positive about your change as you had expected. You've been caught off guard. You'd assumed they would be as positive as you are, but they're not. So whilst you might be disappointed by hostile or negative responses, you can be prepared by considering 5 main reasons why people might respond negatively the way they do. We use the acronym Tonic, T-O-N-I-C. The T in Tonic stands for the type of individual. We know we are all different, but there are patterns. One profiling tool I use is the AIM Cube from Human Insights. It is particularly helpful in showing how an individual might respond to a proposed change. One of the 3 dimensions in the AIM Cube is the exploration scale. At one end of the scale are those who naturally seek stability in their personality, while at the other end of the scale are those who are stimulated by exploring the new. We need those who can provide stability through the change, but we also need the leaders, the visionaries, the innovators, who can dream and imagine and deliver new solutions. Generally, the person who is more stability-oriented will require rather more convincing and might even come over as resistant to our change at the beginning. The O in Tonic stands for the organization's history. Perhaps the record of change initiatives, particularly in the recent past, has not been very successful. A series of failures, perhaps, where some were bigger flops than others. If so, it will be harder to convince people to come on board with your change. Whereas if there had been a series of changes that have been successful, then people will be more confident that your change will be successful and regard such changes as just a normal part of that organization's life. Next, there is the nature of the change. Is the change fairly simple, or is it complex? Is it something that will evolve or emerge, or is it planned as a big bang implementation? Will people be invited to volunteer and serve in the change? Or will it be something everyone's forced to do? All of these types of change will evoke very different responses. The I is for the individual's history. Perhaps an individual comes with some very negative associations with this kind of change from other organizations they may have worked for. Maybe the recent history of that person has some very big negatives in their private lives, like a sick child at home or the bereavement of a loved one. None of these are your fault or in your control, but when their private life is so turbulent, such an individual will be searching for some normality in their work routines, and they will naturally react to your change as a threat to that. Finally, there are the consequences of the change. Again, project managers often focus on explaining the features they are offering, and so they are unprepared for this kind of thinking and this kind of conversation. Some people might conclude that this change will mean they lose something. It could be a loss of their influence or their visibility or their freedom or even their job altogether. Different people will be differently affected, but more than that, left to themselves, they are very likely to imagine all kinds of negative consequences. So be careful how you research how it will impact them, and do set their expectations very carefully. These are just 5 drivers, 5 categories of how people react to change. There are others, but these are the major ones. So think through Tonic, and you will be more prepared both to present your change better and also prepared to handle the objections that will come.